Good day. It's still August 15th, 2018. This is the second video today. It's going to be the New World Order, or NWO, equals or is the same as the corporation. I just did a video on the media, schools, and you, where I was saying, really, if you want to look at two poles, there's you, and then there's the media and schools, all institutions, all propaganda that's coming in. This side, the media, the propaganda, is the corporation. Now, the New World Order is actually just the old world order. The elite that's just trying to scam you into believing that there's something new and that this new thing will be the greatest and will be better than the old thing. But it's the same. It's the same. So, but they've grabbed this New World Order, this New Age. This this artwork over here with the cosmos, the different ages, the zodiac. This is we're in it. We've been in it for a number of years, but there's actually no definite line when it begins or ends. So it's wherever you want to think of it. And the media, the propaganda, is saying we're in it, but it's the same old people. So they're the lie. They're not being truthful. So if you're recognizing them as the new world, you're being scammed again. So what I've said before is that you've got this new age, but the same old wolf has come and told you that this is the new, look to us. So you've got to look to yourself if you really want to be in this new age. There's no savior coming. Look to yourself and look to your neighbors who are realizing and have come to the point where you are, of waking, ascending, in a sense. The ascension is not going to happen if you're waiting for somebody else to take you by the hand and save you. Big Brother's not going to save you. JC's not going to save you. What was attempted to written in the Bible, and what a lot of other good books that have mostly been destroyed by the then current powers that be, wrote about relying on yourself. JC said something like, what I've done you can do. Of course it takes baby steps, but he was saying that you can do this by getting with the program. And so try to pick which New World Order you're talking about. The old, the propaganda, or something that you're going to create, that you're going to be. So what is the corporation? I've talked and written about this, and in my ebooks that Amazon still carries under my name. All these corporations are ultimately incorporated into one corporation. Whether you want to trace it back to the City of London, which is not Great Britain. The City of London is just like Washington, D.C. It's a separate entity. The City of London isn't even part of the royal family. The British royal family sold you out generations ago, their generations ago. Their bloodline got so polluted that they can't be listened to. They're just part of the corporation. The City of London, and you can trace it, some people have traced it back to Rome, however you want to look at it. I got busted by the IRS because I didn't incorporate, I didn't become an LLC. And anybody that became an LLC in the last decades or incorporated really doesn't have to pay the taxes that an individual does. And when the Constitution was first established and before corporations were really realized to what they were, all those things that the Constitution was trying to spell out was that if anybody had to pay above and beyond the next person, it was the corporation, or what was then not called a corporation, but one that some people that have studied history will be aware of is the the trading company, it escapes me, the East India Trading Company, the one that did all that bought all the skins and the furs from the trappers in the early days. That was a corporation. It eventually somewhere became part of the Virginia Land Company, and eventually became Virginia, the state of Virginia, not the land of Virginia. And there's good books out there that have done all the tracing and shown the connections, the paper trail. But those were your early day super corporations. And like I say, that this super corporation can be visualized, seen more in the City of London. And by the British Bar Association, which of course the American Bar Association is just like a little brother of that, there's really no difference. All these lawyers out here are working for them. So in a sense, they're all foreign entities. And the whole system's set up where you just about have to have a lawyer to work on your behalf. And as many of you have found out, the lawyer ends up getting most of your money. And the longer they draw it out, the more money they make and the less you get. And it's very difficult to get into court without a lawyer. People have done it, and they have to know more than the lawyers do. So, everything in the system forces you or urges you with a fire behind it, or with a poker behind it. The lawman, the guy in the blue uniform, which is mostly black today, in the form of SWAT teams, they're threatening you to become incorporated. The driver's license is a prime example. It was really getting to the point where it was really difficult to defend yourself in court. And those who were most successful were not ever really taken into the court, meaning under the court. And they stated it so that the judge had to dismiss the case. I did this by, then the judge in legal language said that I had not signed any papers that turned my power of attorney, that I had, given up my power of attorney. Actually today, because of the Real ID Act, somebody up there somehow is supporting what a lot of us were saying all along. It's more definite about what your identification is now with the Real ID Act. Are you a resident of the corporation, or are you a true man or woman? These are all take months and months and years to read and learn and understand, and it's a long road to hoe. It's a narrow path, but there's actually more out there today that supports you recently than what there was from the 90s till up to just a couple years ago. Believe it or not. So, the corporation. So your Social Security, your driver's license, all these different numbers, things that you get, receipts, contracts you get with the different agencies, just tie you more and more in with the mark of the beast. The religionists that are still preaching, I'm not going to get the mark of the beast, I would almost bet that 99% of those already have the mark of the beast. In fact, it's so evident that a lot of people don't even want to discuss this, especially the religionists that have been preaching the coming mark of the beast. Like I was saying, the IRS came after me because I wasn't an LLC. I wasn't incorporated. And yet I was driving and getting paid in debt certificates. So they basically said, they didn't spell it out, but they were basically saying that if you're dealing with our debt certificates, since it's our scam, all that money is ours. And so they took everything I had, and my business folded because I couldn't keep any money that I earned. And even this one agent that I tracked down and talked to him face to face, I asked him where I went wrong, and he told me, you should have looked for the largest corporation you could and worked for them. Well, he was really said a lot. And then he also, I asked him what I was supposed to do now, and he says, you're almost 62, apply for Social Security. So, I had planned at that point to work until I was 70 or beyond, because I knew the best person was yourself, and the best person that can support you is yourself. And but the IRS proved me otherwise, that it's better to, according to them, to be part of the corporation, or you'll get busted, or it'll be harder for you. Just to give you an example, somebody that was doing the exact same thing as me and had 4 kids and a wife to use as deductions didn't pay any taxes, where the IRS wanted me to pay 35% of what money came in, of which I had already spent 50% on the basic bills while I was working, and probably another 35% went into saved money that I spent throughout the year to maintain what I was going. So I was keeping about 15% of what I was taking in, and I was happy with that. But they weren't. They wanted me to pay 40%, and so since I didn't, they fined me and took everything. And of course, there's all these lawyers out there that say, "Oh, I can fix it." They don't say a deal, but they can fix it with the IRS. But all those, basically, you're having to admit that you were guilty, which I wasn't. And why admit that you're guilty so that you get a percentage? You're just being bought into the con. So there's you on one side, and then there's the corporation on the other side. And all these corporations incorporate into the bigger. But in reality, if you're in any corporation, you're part of that ultimate corporation, part of the New World Order. And so that's what some people have been trying to get people to become more self-sufficient and separate themselves from the corporation. Because when the corporation collapses, the more you're involved, dependent on it, the more you're in debt to it, the further you're going to fall. And in the case of the corporation, or in musical chairs, there's not going to be enough chairs to go around. It's going to be a rough life. But this can be done nicely. It still can, and a lot of people are trying to do that. And still kind of a toss-up. Thank you. Hope you got something out of this. Trust you did. Trust you all already knew a lot of it. And maybe you got a bigger picture now.